Thank you, dear viewers, for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Cameroon's Ministry of Defense accuses Human Rights Watch of engaging in a relentless effort to demonize the armed forces. This is contained in the reaction of the ministry to the recent report of Human Rights Watch, in which it highlights atrocities allegedly committed by elements of the National Armed Forces on the population of Ebam village in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Give you the full content of the ministerial statement, or the statement by the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense in this newscast. And in neighboring Nigeria, Zamfara state governor says that all the school children who were abducted in their boarding school in the northwestern part of the country have been set free. Thank you for joining us. At least 3 persons are reported dead and over 4 others injured in a road accident which occurred some few hours ago here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. The accident involving a Toyota RAV4 vehicle and a heavy-duty truck transporting iron bars occurred around the premises of the Douala 3 Council, and latest information swimming into a newsroom indicate that at least 3 persons died in that accident and about 4 others were severely injured in that accident. Now we took the reaction of the Cameroon Ministry of Defense to the recent report of Human Rights Watch on alleged military violence and atrocities in a Ebam village in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The Ministry of Defense has published a statement signed by the spokesperson of that ministry, Colonel Tanfak Cyril, who indicates that Human Rights Watch has relentlessly engaged in efforts to demonize the country's armed forces. According to Colonel Atonfak Cyril, and of course the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon, the human rights organization has never been objective in its reports on the situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And the statement of the Ministry of Defense indicates that on Friday, 26 February 2021, Human Rights Watch details supposedly documented allegations of destruction, rape, and murder committed on the 1st of March 2020 by elements of defense and security forces in the village of Ebam, a Umojok subdivision, Manyo division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. This is a reminder of the content of the report of Human Rights Watch, and the statement goes further to say that it should be noted that during the night of Saturday 29th of February to Sunday 1st of March 2020, a cordon and search operation led by elements of the 22nd Motorized Infantry Battalion gradually took up position around the Ebam village. The action itself was launched in the early hours, in the early morning of Sunday 1st March 2020, and the aim of the operation was to put out the action of armed terrorists who were using the locality as a rare base to plan attacks in the Eyumujok subdivision and its surroundings, and the detachment made up of around 20 servicemen and not 50 soldiers, as indicated by Human Rights Watch, was surprised or supervised and commanded by an officer. At the end of this operation, which lasted for an hour or for a few hours, one locality one locally manufactured weapon and other ammunitions were recovered. 16 motorcycles confiscated, 01 terrorists neutralized, 35 individuals arrested and placed at the disposal of the Memphis Gendarmerie Company for questioning. And the statement of the Ministry of Defense spokesperson goes further to indicate that the officials of this unit immediately released an individual declared to be suffering from multiple pathologies before proceeding to question the other 34 who were also released on the evening of that same Sunday, 1st March 2020. And the question that comes to mind is how the lockdown of a clearly identified terrorist base will constitute a serious violation of human rights. This is a question highlighted by Colonel Aton Faksiri, spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon, in his statement, which goes further to indicate that by putting the state of Cameroon and the separatists on an equal footing of legitimacy on the one hand, and by clearly and clumsily siding with armed groups on the other hand, Human Rights Watch stood true to its astonishing logic. It is worth noting, according to the statement of Colonel Aton Faksiri, that this organization has, to the detriment of its credibility, never reported objectively on events in the northwest and southwest regions, but always opting at the slightest opportunity for a systematic, relentless and demonization of the Cameroon's defense forces. Cameroon's defense forces continue to carry out their mission in accordance with the rules of engagement and are able to maintain a heavy disciplinary hand over its men when some of them violate such rules, states the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon, Colonel Aton Faksiri. And that's the reaction of Cameroon's Ministry of Defense to the latest report of Human Rights Watch on alleged military violence in Ibam village in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. To something else now. Here in Cameroon's economic capital, several persons were injured and many of them arrested, all of them commercial motorbike riders here in the country who got into a standoff with forces of law and order, notably around the Mbopi and Kanyabasi neighborhoods of the town of Douala, and these erupted from an attempt by some of the commercial motorbike riders to escape police control. Smanjikan Gabriel has more.
A member of the motorcycle syndicate being molested and pulled on the ground by some commercial motorcycle riders. Stones and sticks being thrown at each other in a free-for-all fight. This was the tense atmosphere that characterized the Mbopi and Kamyabasi neighborhoods in Douala this Tuesday to control commercial bike riders. The move ended, sir, as police and gendarmes were forced to use tear gas to disperse the crowd. The commercial bike riders say this move won't work. What is really getting me annoyed is that every day we are out to work, they ask us to pay taxes, we paid. Now they are asking for motorcycle documents. What do they expect us to do? How much do we earn per day? In a single day, we can't say we make a lot of profit. We went to school and graduated, but came out without any work.
Why don't get small machine? Now we climb on top, you run up.
For them, they have a lot of responsibilities at home that they must take care of and can't continue to keep quiet over what they call government extortions.
We will get family them.
We have families at home to feed, and when they decide to climb on us, how can we provide for them? We can't accept it, because if we start stealing, they will be the first to beat us.
People they work, but when we don't be able to occupy ourselves with small work, they go start the ask you money, go for the corner, ask you money, go for the corner, ask you money.
As a result of detention, several bike riders were arrested. According to a syndicate president, all of those arrested were without identification documents. All of those that we arrested are those who don't have documents and are dealing with stolen motorcycles. People who are not identified and don't even want to get themselves identified. How can two bike riders take on hostage two police inspectors? It's impossible. At least more than 20 bike riders were picked up, while more than 10 persons were injured. Most businesses in these zones also were forced to lock because of detention. The days ahead promises to produce fireworks between bike riders and security forces in Cameroon's economic capital.
Elsewhere, in a similar story, some workers of the Pan-African Institute for Development here in Douala went on a rampage. They were protesting against the non-payment of the salaries by the institution. Once more, Sumanjik and Gabriel finds in details.
It was an unusual atmosphere that characterized the campus of the Pan-African Institute for Development, Douala, this Tuesday. 9 of his workers who claimed they were illegally axed are protesting to reclaim the payment of their rights. It's now 8 months that we are demanding for our arrears and they haven't paid. At the level of the Inspectorate of Labor, we had a meeting that ended with the divisional officer of Douala convening another. When he called the institution for a peaceful end, the director said the school had a special status. According to an official of this institution, the claim of these workers is in place, but the institution is already preparing to pay them. We have a situation that is still pending with the Inspectorate of Labor. The procedure has advanced towards the level of paying these workers, but we are surprised about their action in front of the institution.
Des droits des 10 collaborateurs. Il est donc surprenant de les voir ici ce matin devant le campus de l'institution.
The workers who are on strike say that apart from the salary arrears, the institution is owing social insurance the sum of 32 million francs CFA, which is meant for their retirement benefits. We are asking them to pay our social rights. We discovered with CMPS that 32 million francs CFA hasn't been paid. They placed us on an anticipated retirement. They placed on us suspension of contracts.
Problème d'ordre économique. Ça c'est faux.
If the workers say the institution hasn't calculated their benefits well, the school official debunked that statement.
Lorsque le secrétaire général de l'institution,
when the Secretary General of the institution, Professor Emmanuel Kandem, arrived, some work was done, sharing these workers into 2 categories. With the aid of the Inspectorate of Labor in Douala, their rights were calculated accordingly. I can't understand now why they claim it was wrongly calculated.
Et on ne peut donc pas comprendre qu'ils soient en train de se plaindre qu'il y a eu une mauvaise base de calcul de leurs droits.
The angry workers say their strike action will continue until their rights are paid.
The senior divisional officer of the Uri Division, the Littoral Regional Delegate for Basic Education, and the mayor of the Douala 1 subdivision and now a daggers drawn. They got into a war of words over a press release, an order given by the mayor of the Douala 1 subdivision demanding that all primary or nursery schools that are being run by the mayor or the council should be shut down over COVID-19. And the senior divisional officer of the Uri division qualified this decision as an attempt to social order. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
A classroom void of pupils. The absence has been attributed to a release signed by the mayor of the Douala 1 municipality, Linge Malapa, on the 24th of February 2021, ordering for the shutdown of all council-run nursery schools in the Douala 1 subdivision for an indefinite period of time. According to the mayor, the decision is meant to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 in school milieus in his municipality. Another release dated March 1st, 2021, signed by the same mayor, gives more precision as far as the date of closure and reopening is concerned, which is the 1st to the 7th of March 2021. During this period, all council-run nursery schools in the Douala 1 municipality are going to be disinfected, like it is the case here at the Deido Bilingual Municipal Nursery School. But this order has been termed abnormal by some administrative authorities like the Senior Divisional Officer for the Uri, Mbutu Benjamin, and the Regional Delegate of Basic Education, Yimga Jamen. In a communique dated 2nd of March 2021, the Senior Divisional Officer says Linge Malapa is not competent to take such a decision and that the order is a nuisance to social cohesion. To the Regional Delegate of Basic Education, no school in Cameroon is run by the council, giving the mayor no right to take such a decision without consulting education stakeholders.
Déjà, le thème école communale n'existe pas dans le conseil des écoles du ministère de l'Éducation de base.
The Ministry of Basic Education knows two types of schools in Cameroon: government schools and private schools. To my greatest dismay, I heard that some nursery schools are run by the council, with parents paying 60 to 70,000 francs as school fee. That is abnormal. Parents are not supposed to pay over 25,000 as school fee for nursery school pupils. It's either the school is given to the state or transformed into a private school.
Il est confié à l'État pour les transformations en école publique, soit il s'aligne à la réglementation en la matière.
Yimga Jamen added that the so-called council-run schools receive money from the Ministry of Basic Education for the construction of classrooms and the procurement of didactic materials, thereby giving them the right to partake in a decision-making process. The decision taken by the mayor is coming few days after 9 pupils and 10 teachers of government practicing nursery school group 1 and 2 located in Bonamusadi in the Douala 5 subdivision got infected with COVID-19.
Immaculate Fogwe reporting there, and we are receiving a peace ambassador, a Pan-African youth, and with him we're going to be discussing some issues concerning young people and also COVID-19 and business. It should be noted that the ministers of communication and public health and of course the Delegate General for National Security spoke about COVID-19 yesterday in a press conference, and they indicated that the situation is quite considering it should be taken into consideration with a lot of care, notably for Cameroonians who are no longer respecting the anti-COVID-19 measures. And of course, COVID-19 is still there, the second wave proving to be more deadly than the first. Thank you for joining us today, Tingum Aaron.
Thank you very much.
As a peace ambassador and a Pan-African youth, when you saw those young people in a standoff, police officers, what would you have to say about that?
Yes, Mr. Babila Jonathan, as a Cameroonian, as a Pan-African youth, I want to start with the last conference we had in Boya, was 2020, which focused on what can be done so that our youths should not travel out of the country illegally, and they are dying around Mexico. And I think what just happened today is just part of those things that can still push the youths to feel like they are not secure, particularly in Cameroon, because it is happening in Cameroon. They can still try to like leave the country for safety, because what happened there is really bad. And then it is also happening in Cameroon at a time when many things are also happening in Cameroon.
But it's not only about the young people or the police officers, but you saw the young people throwing stones, throwing sticks, in fact, fighting forces of law and order.
Yes, as a peace ambassador, Mr. Babila Jonathan, in the context of peace and peace policies, I have not come across any statement that declares violence as a solution to any problem. I believe that every problem has a way of solving it peacefully, and that is just what I will advocate for, and we are advocating for that. There is still a way that they could have complain right to the competent authorities and then follow up. Though we have a problem that most of our youths, their voices are not heard when it has to do with things like this. But I condemn totally the protest and then violence completely. I condemn it as a peace advocate. So in situations like that, there are authorities, they could have to me, they could have apply or write to the competent authorities for an assistance. If something is wrong, there's still a procedure to follow up rather than going along the street, because there, when you go when you go to the street with such violence, there are other people who have different mindsets, who have different ambitions to accomplish, which are not really good ambitions. They may come in, and then in a scene, different things will start happening.
Right.
So I discourage that completely.
All right. Now, as an entrepreneur, CEO of Attacks, how has the COVID-19 affected your business, and how are you looking forward to manage the impact of the COVID-19 with the second wave that is proving more deadly and more disturbing than the first?
Yes. COVID-19 is really is real, and it is deadly. Mr. Babila Jonathan, it has crippled a lot of businesses across Africa, in Cameroon and across Africa as well. And one thing I will be telling the public today is that COVID-19 is not the World Health Organization fight alone. It is not the government's fight alone. It is a fight of every individual. Just like you, just like me, a Cameroonian, an African, from any country. I want to say that the World Health Organization will never die of COVID-19. Talk less of any government. It is only the population that can die of COVID-19, which means that each and every individual has to take all the measures, respect all the barrier measures. Secondly, Mr. Babila Jonathan, natural things sometimes are good when they can help to boost our immune system. And you know, I'm dealing with cayenne pepper, which is an antioxidant product, and then it has been helping a lot of people. Things like that. The garlic, people have been consuming garlic, consuming natural things, because it is believed that
they have some ingredients in them that can boost our immune system.
Yes, very correct.
Right. We will certainly have more time another day to discuss further. We are really limited in time today. Tingum Aaron, Peace Ambassador and Pan-African Youth, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan.
All right, on to something else now. We're talking about the candidacy to the post of president of the African Football Federation and the first ever black billionaire in South Africa, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, says his work's wealth and charity is to inspire young South Africans to become great persons. Like him, the businessman has also had as ambition becoming the president of the Confederation of African Football, with plans to develop the football of the continent. Innocent.
But who is this Patrice Motsepe?
Hello.
Dr. Patrice Motsepe was born on the 28th of January 1962 in Soweto, South Africa. He also had lived the racial segregation era in his country. After his education, he traveled to the United States where he began working before returning to be part of the African National Congress, ANC. His life rapidly transformed from 1994 while in the mining industry, future mining. With a wealth of close to 1,200 billion francs CFA, in 2013, he offered a portion of his wealth as charity, notably in health and the education sectors in favor of South Africans. Being proprietor of 3 mineral exploitation companies in South Africa, Zambia and Zimbabwe, his African Rainbow Minerals is ranked 12th in gold mining in the world. Dr. Motsepe's growing wealth allowed him to purchase a 51% interest in the Mamelodi Sundowns Association Football Club in 2003. And the next year, he gained full control of the club. He had also participated in the organization of the World Cup in South Africa in 2010. His dream has also been to become leader of the Confederation of African Football, with aim to better African football.
Now out of Cameroon, in Nigeria, Zamfara State Governor says all the girls abducted from a boarding school in the northwestern part of the country have been released. President Muhammadu Buhari expressed overwhelming joy over the news, and Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawali said that the students were safe with authorities and that no ransom had been paid for their release. The governor added that the students were being taken to a health facility for medical examination. Zamfara State spokesman told reporters that some of the missing girls had run into the bush at the time of the attack. He confirmed the number of those kidnapped was 279. Government officials had been in talks with the kidnappers, referred to as bandits, following the third school attack in less than 3 months. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for joining us in Talking Points. The Emmanuel, a civil society activist and teacher, is our guest. Thank you for coming.
Yes, Mr. Babila, thank you once more for the renewed confidence in Equinoxe. Above images,
we report. All right. The senior division officer of the Wuri division, the regional delegate of basic education for the littoral, and the mayor of Douala 1 subdivision in a war of words over the closure of schools run by the council, notably nursery schools that have been shut down. The mayor said he did so, he took the decision so that the schools can be disinfected. And the senior division officer of the Wuri division considers that decision as a threat to public or social order. What's your take about that?
Okay, before I delve into your question, just 1 minute. I want to refresh your mind that a few months ago I was on this same platform when I told you that in a comedy republic like Cameroon, where the only thing that has ever successfully gone through has been election, fake election. And you were like pushing me to a corner to agree with you that the elected officials were supposed to change the face of issues in Cameroon. And I maintained that day that no, it wasn't going to be the case. And so today, the question you are asking me once more comforts my position then and now, that what I was thinking was absolutely right. Because in a decentralized context, where the powers were supposed to have been devolved to the mayors, in this case, we would not have been seeing this drama. Because if we were to go by the article of the law of the decentralization in education, it states, Article 161, line A, that the creation of school cards, maintenance of schools, equipment of school with materials shall henceforth be in the hands, in the competence of the mayors. But since, you know, in Cameroon, people at times often make the confusion to say that Cameroon has 3 arms of government, whereas actually we have only one arm of government.
That's your point of view.
Yes,
in the books officially we have 3 arms:
yes,
the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary.
Yes, but in practice we have only the executive. You know, Cameroon, the breeding of Cameroon begins from Yaoundé and ends back in Yaoundé, and then Cameroon is all fine, Cameroon is all comfortable. Now, when you look at the situation that they are at each other's throat, at daggers drawn, because the mayor signed a communique, I want to underline that when I went through the communique, at the time you sent it to me, the problem of the SDO was not even that the mayor signed a communique. The problem was that the mayor never passed through the SDO. He never took.
He did it unilaterally.
Yes, he did it unilaterally without taking instructions from above. And you know, in our country, we take instructions from above.
From the law, from the law that you read, it's the competence of the mayor does not extend to shutting down a school.
Well, when I follow news there and I listen to what he said and what the communique says, it doesn't tally. Because in the communique, it is saying that it is within the context of combating COVID-19. But when you listen to him and what you presented in the news, there is a dichotomy between A and B. Because another person says it is either the council hand over the schools to the state, or school fees should not be above 25,000 francs. So you see, it is when you finally follow this case to the end, you will discover that how it started and how it shall end will not give you the reason of how it started. And the first reason why people were meant to believe that the SGO was at daggers drawn with the mayor.
So this confusion coming at a time when there have been suspicions that this academic year may not go to the end, and COVID-19 may do the same thing that it did to the last academic year, which had to end halfway. Only examination students had to continue right to the end, and coming at a time when some schools were recently shut down here in Douala because of coronavirus cases that were discovered there. What can be the impact of this on the state of mind of parents who are having doubts already, uncertainty about the academic future of their children?
Well, I want to tell you that a parent walked up to me and told me that she cannot be able to complete the child's school fee because she's very sure that schools will be shut down. And last week, Friday, we were having a meeting with the inspector of Douala 5, who told us that any head teacher or a school head that propagates the news that school shall be shut down could easily run into trouble, because it is a social media propaganda that even the finance school A games and finance school B games, only for the secondary school have been stopped because they see that they're a little bit stubborn. But for the primary schools, it shall go through, and that it was a Facebook issue. But what they are insisting on is that nobody should lose sight of the fact that coronavirus is still very much alive. But Mr. Babila Jonathan.
But the issue about the possible shutting down of schools remains at the level of speculations.
Yes,
just speculations.
Yes, it remains at the level of speculation. But you see, when I looked at this, I was in Northwest for 4 days last week, and I read the situation of things on the ground. It's not like I want to discredit our forces of law and order, but sometimes you see these same forces of law and order, they are not putting on their masks, but they are forcing people to put on the mask, and when you don't put, you pay. You see them hawking people by the roadside, their friends, embracing each other without putting on masks. So I think this coronavirus thing is supposed to be a fight for all. It's not supposed to be a thing of the government.
All right, we'll wrap up with the reaction of the Ministry of Defense to the report of Human Rights Watch. The Ministry of Defense, the spokesperson, Colonel Aton Faksiri, says that the Human Rights Watch has relentlessly engaged in efforts to demonize the National Armed Forces, and that it has not been objective in its reports concerning the Northwest and Southwest regions. That was the reaction to the report of Human Rights Watch on what happened in a Bam village in the Southwest region on the 1st of March 2020, attributed to
Mr. Babila Jonathan. To be very honest with you, another one happened. We are just reading it. That it happened in Babanki, in a meeting, where something similar to that case happened yesterday, and they said that it were the forces of law and order. We don't know how true it is as of now, but complaints are coming in that it was in a Njangi house. People were wounded and some kind of a thing. I'm still very sure that if the Ministry of Defense, if the spokesman of the Ministry of Defense was to come out, he will say the same. He has said the same in the past. He's saying it in the present, and we are sure that he shall say it in the future. But what I want to say is that Cameroonians need to really sit up their consciences. They really need to seek the face of God, especially as this Anglophone crisis is concerned. A while ago, you were talking about a mayor. Do you know that mayors in the Southwest region have been traveling with their councils in their pockets? A mayor may be from one, but signing a birth certificate from Edea, that is somebody whom I'm told he was voted by people, meaning that councils have been enveloped.
Councils have become mobile.
Yes, councils have become mobile and they're inside the pockets.
All right,
so
Emmanuel, you're a civil society activist and a teacher. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, our time is very limited today. We'll certainly have another opportunity to discuss more. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Babila Jonathan.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe comes up next live from Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé.